Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich here. We're taking a look at number 8. A koi pond is in the shape of a right rectangular prism that is 2.5 yards long, 3 yards wide, and 2 yards high. The pond is 1/3 full of water. What is the volume of the water in the pond? All right, so one of the things that I want to remind you about is when it says 1/3 full of water, recall that of usually means you're going to be multiplying this fraction right here with whatever the volume would be if you had it completely full. Now, if we were just talking about the volume of the pond, then we'd be multiplying length times width times height. But because we have 1/3 of it, we're going to throw in there times 1/3. Now, when we substitute in our values, you want to substitute in this for the length, this for the width, and this for the height. But quite honestly, even if you mix these numbers up, you would still get the same thing because commutative property applies. You can put them in any order you want. But remember, we're taking a third. Now, the next step here, when you have a fraction that's one of those non-terminating situations, then what I'm going to recommend is that you turn any mixed numbers into improper fractions. So what would that look like for the 2.5? It would be something halves. And if we did 2 times 2, that would be 4, plus 1 more would be 5. And let's write everything that's left. So here we have a 3, which remember is the same thing as 3 over 1. We have a 2, which is the same thing as 2 over 1. And then we have the third. So if it makes you feel better, just whenever you're working with fractions, to put the 1 underneath that, you're certainly welcome to. Some people find that to be easier. All right, now the next step, you have the option of either going across and multiplying 5 times 3 times 2 times 1, coming up with a number, that would be your numerator, then doing 2 times 1 times 1 times 3. But I personally think it's going to be easier if we go ahead and simplify before we multiply, because then we can get our numbers to be much more user-friendly. For example, we can reduce with these 3's. 3 is a factor of both of these. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 3 once. We can do the same thing going here and here with the 2's. 2 goes into that once, 2 goes into that once. Now, the bottom, notice that we have all 1's, and whenever we have all 1's, when we divide by 1, we always get whatever the top number would be. So if we look at what the top would be, or the numerator, if we do 5 times 1 times 1 times 1, hopefully you know what that's going to be, and if we divide it by 1, we would get the same thing. All right, so hopefully you see the answer here in the lineup.